Alright, so today's July 7th, 2026, and it's 2:25 p.m. here in sunny St. Florida. It's pretty hot outside, but we're gonna get through it. So, as you know, Saturday was July 4th, and it was the America's 250th anniversary, which means it's been 250 years since the United States declared independence from Great Britain, and we became the freest country in the world. So, in honor of that, I thought I'd give you guys an overview of the Hammond Organ and really everything about it. So, to start, we're gonna basically go over everything from playing to presets to drawbars to the Leslie switch to percussion to a finale with me playing How Great Thou Art, so you guys get a really good grasp of everything this organ has to offer. So, to start, excuse me, and now it's not creating any sound, and that's a bit of an issue. So, we fix that by turning the organ on. And you notice you'll have either two switches right here or up here closer on the wood, and that's gonna be your start run switch. So once the organ has been sitting for a while, let's say I was just playing it, so I had to give it a minute, but let's say it has been turned on. You're going to hold the start switch for about 8 seconds. And then you're gonna hold the run switch for about 3 seconds. And now the organ is turned on. And while it's warming up, I'm gonna talk about the manuals. You might hear me throughout this video say the upper manual and the lower manual, or the upper keyboard and lower keyboard. They're all the exact same thing. So, to start, you have your percussion, vibrato, drawbar, start and switch, upper, lower keyboard, vibrato again, percussion, reverb and Leslie switch. And then you have bass pedals down here and a volume support pedal, which allows me to control the volume of the organ. Really push it really far or bring it really down. That's something that you really need to focus on in this video. So to start, right now I'm not getting any sound out of the organ. That's an issue. That's because I don't have a preset selected. I'm gonna start on the A preset. So if you notice, these are inverted colors to make them stand out different from the normal keyboard. And you notice, they're the exact same notes as a normal octave. So, I like to start going through the different presets so I find one that I like. So in the lower manual, the A preset sounds something like this. And the upper manual A preset sounds like this. They're pretty similar, but also very different. I go to the A flat on each one. This one is one that I really particularly like. I go up here. Keep going. All very different, but all pretty similar at the same time. So really, when I'm playing, let's say I don't want to use the drawbars, and we're going to get to that in a minute. The drawbars, if you notice, you have 4 sets, and they're all identical. They all produce the same sound, same tones. It just allows you for 4 different presets at the same time. So, for example, the B flat controls your top one right here, and the B controls the top one right here. B flat controls the top one right here, and B controls the top one right here. And this middle set controls the bass pedals below me, you can probably see. So let's say I don't want to use drawbars. The preset I like to use is the E flat on the upper manual and the A flat on the lower manual. That gives you a really nice padding tone. And when I mean by padding, I mean like when the pastor's talking. It gives you a really nice tone for the altar service. Padding that you can do. Or sometimes you may not even use the upper one at all, you may just use the lower one. But most of the time, I won't use the dedicated presets. I use the drawbars. And a lot of organists do that because it gives you this really nice, changeable and moving sound. What's amazing about the Hammond organ, it's always moving, and you're always moving with it. You're never going to stay on one preset the entire song. You're going to be constantly changing the drawbars as the song goes, practically every verse. But this example, I'm going to use mostly the B flat and the B over here, because this will get you a really good vibe of what the organ does. So for this, I'm going to have the vibrato off until I want to discuss that a little more. So to start, if you have the first drawbar, you'll notice this is really nice, bassy, really low end sound. But if I start bringing out some more, you'll notice bring out another one. Keep bringing them out. And really, the Hammond organs drawbars were designed after pipe organs, which is why there is numbers on them. So you can think of it as octaves, as 8 is half of 16, 4 is half of 8, 2 is half of 4, and 1 is half of 2. So when you think about it, if I play a C note, I'm having 5 C notes playing at the same time. I bring out what I like to call the upper extension notes. It's everything but the white in the first brown one. Then we add what's missing to the sound. So I bring out to the 1 1/3. You're really feeling the sound. And you can go crazy with drawbar settings. Like I can do a full, this is the setting that I like to keep most of the time. And that is your first 4 drawbars. This gets you really nice, mellow, round sound. It works almost any song. Like for example, we can do Praise by Elevation Worship. Used when recording praise in most elevation worship songs. It's also the setting he uses in live. So I can also do a mid scoop, almost like the metal bands do. Which the way I shape that is I take them all out and then move like a graphic EQ. And it sounds like it's coming through it on radio. But really, you can morph it as you're playing. For example, I could do. That's what makes the Hammond Organ so amazing. And the reason I'm not really going over the drawbars is some of them are missing parts, are not really working, but all the drawbars do the exact same thing. That's very important to remember. They all sound the exact same and do the exact same thing. So now we're going to go over percussion. On your organ, you probably have percussion over here, and there's little tablets. So what percussion is, it's a high note at the top of every note on the B preset on the manual. So for example, if I bring out the second and just play with it, and I bring out some drawbars with it, I can bring out third. Bring out a fifth. Or if you have the track 2 on, you can bring out a second, third, and a fifth all at the same time. But now going on to vibrato. Vibrato is a feature that I like to keep on all the time because it really makes it sound like B3. If you just use the vibrato without the chorus, turn the chorus on, But before we start getting into how you play it, we need to go over the Leslie switch and the bass pedals. So the bass pedals are mostly used for solo playing or when you don't have a bass player. Luckily, we have a bass player at our church, so I just use them when I'm backing up the preacher. So listen to the difference here with and without bass pedals. I have without the bass pedal for the preacher chords. But listen to it with the bass pedal. Really fills with the sound. And the Leslie switch, of course, turns it from slow to fast. So, how do you play this beast of an organ, beast of an instrument? Well, you play it a lot different than the piano. For example, if you go back to praise and elevation worship, you'll notice that, for example, LJ, when he plays the piano, he does. But if you listen to his organ playing, it's a lot higher. It's that it's a little more held out and more just form. Because what you can do with the organ, you can fill in the space that the piano can't do. For example, the piano has a sustain pedal, so it has to keep the. But the organ, you can add upper extensions to fill out the chords. For example, how I would do it is much different than LJ, but also pretty similar. I would keep out this high drawbar to keep a really nice, mellow, but also trebly setting, but inverts the chords that the pianist is doing. For example, the pianist would do. I would invert it to the third inversion, or the second. I might sometimes throw in a add 2 chord, for example, A3 over C sharp. And it really fills it in. But that's really how you play the organ if you're just sitting down and you're just trying to fill in. But crawling is a very important part. I've yet to master crawling myself because it's such an important and hard part of the organ, but I'm going to try my best to explain it to you. What crawling essentially is, on a piano you have sustain. On an organ you have infinite sustain, because if you hold out a note, it's going to keep the same volume forever, and for as long as you hold it out. So for crawling, which essentially you're doing is, let's play starting in E flat. Everybody can play in E flat. What crawling essentially has you do is figure out how to play the chords in a way that you can play them without lifting up your fingers constantly. For example, if I were playing this on piano, I'd do. On the organ, what you can do is let's go to G. Notice that I try to do my best not to lift up my hands a lot. And that's because with the organ, you can do some crazy stuff. And keep a whole note held out, also playing other notes. And that can produce some crazy fun stuff. But you have to figure out how to do it on your own and really work with it. But now as we try to close this video out, I'm gonna play a quick, slower arrangement of How Great Thou Art, so you guys really understand what you can do with this wonderful instrument. Creates a really mellow tone that's all constantly going. It creates like a rhythm.